All right, I know pretty much most of you, but if you don't know me, I'm Officer Shaun Guardanapo. I've been with the TMCC Police Department for a year and a half. Before that, I was a police officer up in Billings, Montana for 7 years. And before that, I was a county deputy in Bighorn County, Montana. So I've got a little bit of experience kind of all the way across the board. And then before that, I was in the military. So I'm going to talk about, main thing I'm going to talk about today is identity theft, and we're going to touch on just some safety procedures around the campus too at the end. But this is going to take up a majority of the hour, if not all the hour. Feel free to ask questions anytime you want. I will attempt to answer them as best as possible. I don't know all the answers. It's a very broad topic, and I'm just covering a lot of the main points on it. There's a lot of details that are involved in identity theft. There's a lot of steps that are involved, so at any time you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'll do my best to answer them, and if I don't know them right now, send me an email. I'll look them up for you, and I'll shoot it back with an answer, okay? So there's no dumb questions, especially when it comes to identity theft. So first, we're going to cover a couple of the stats. As you can see, identity theft is huge. This is from 2013 mostly. 11 million victims of identity theft annually, 7%. Average financial loss per victim is almost $5,000, and the total loss to the entire United States altogether is $21 billion. So, and the more we get into the technology age, the more this is going to go up. As you can see from 2010, in 3 years, it's gone up almost, half. 50%. So keep that in mind. More stats. As you can see, Nevada is the 5th highest when it comes to identity theft. California is number 2, right next door. And a lot of that is because, one, of Vegas and all the casinos. Okay? All the casinos attribute to a lot of the identity theft. Real important to know the credit agencies and how to get a hold of them. I'll show this now, and I'll show it again at the end. So if you want to copy it down, great. If you want a copy of it, I can send it to you. But it's pretty easy to find Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion all online. And they all have a fraud and identity theft department. So what is identity theft? It's basically someone stealing someone else's identity to use for their own personal benefit and financial gain. There are other types of identity theft, but the one we're focusing on the most right now is to obtain credit and financial gain of benefits of someone else. So that's what we're going to mostly target this one to. There's elderly, there's a whole bunch of other ones, deceased person. It's mostly for us that are here today that have credit cards, that have debit cards, that have identities, driver's license, how we can do to protect it. Big one, the Nevada NRS. How does the Nevada NRS define identity theft? So it's obtaining and using personal identifying information, we'll define that in a second, of another person to harm or impersonate a person, to obtain certain non-public records, or for other unlawful purpose, basically to obtain credit. This is, if you were to call into a police department and say, I've been a victim of identity theft, both of these criteria have to be met for it to be identity theft. So they need to obtain your personal identifying information of another person or of yours, and, is the key word, with that information, intent to commit an unlawful act, use the personal identifying information to harm the other person, which can be physical harm or whatever you want to define harm. Represent an in-person or impersonate another person to obtain access to identifying personal information of that person without consent, to obtain access to non-public records, and for any other unlawful purpose, including without limitation to obtain credit. And this is where we're going to mostly be targeting, because this is where it mostly affects us. Is most of the time when your identity gets stolen, it's because they want to get a financial gain. And they want to open up a credit card and max it out, or open up a loan and get a bunch of money from you. That's the majority reason of what people do for identity theft. So now we're going to define personal identifying information. Your email is not a personal identifying information. Okay, but your PIN word and your PIN number and your passwords are. So personal identifying information means any information generated, commonly used, or capable of being used alone or in conjunction with any other information to identify a living or deceased person, or to identify the actions taken, communications made, received by, or other activities or transactions of a living or deceased person without limitation. So top one, A, is the most important one. It's the one that's going to be stolen 99.9% of the time. It's your name or your former name, driver's license number, ID card number, social security card, checking account, savings account, credit cards, debit cards, financial account information, date of birth, place of employment, maiden name, and of your mother or of another person. Okay, that's right here is where most of your identity theft is going to come from, is right in this section. But it also does include your fingerprints, your voice print, your electronic signature, address or routing code, telecommunication identifying information. It also includes personal identification number or password of a person, because it says in conjunction with. So if they have your debit card, they're going to need your PIN number if they want to take cash out. Okay. Alien registration number, passports, stuff like that. Professional licenses, government licenses, certificates. People might want to impersonate a doctor. So they're going to grab their certificate, their license number, get it from whatever way to become a doctor. They think they're going to become a doctor so that they can start charging other people for services because they're saying that they're a doctor. Okay, that's another one that you might see occasionally. And the utility account number. So yes, utility accounts, you want to make sure you're shredding those too after you're done with them, because that is a good way to get your information. So how can you become a victim? Stolen purse or wallet. Number one reason, number one way to get your identity stolen. You leave your purse unoccupied, you leave your wallet unoccupied, you leave it in the seat of your front seat of your car when your window's down or your car unlocked. You go into a restaurant and you get up and use the restroom and your wallet or purse are sitting right there. You're walking through a shopping center or the grocery store and your wallet and your purse are right on top, and you turn around to get something off the shelf. Someone walks by, grabs your wallet, and takes off. Unauthorized use of your social security number. Any documents that you have with your social security number, you need to make sure you shred. Okay, anything. That's a huge one. Once they have your social security number, all they have to do is know your name, and then they can apply for credit cards left and right, especially if you've got good credit. Hacking, once you get into the internet. Security breaches, that's more for big corporations. Home Depot recently had one. Jimmy John's locally had one. The Veterans Administration had one a couple years ago or last year. Internet use, once again, surfing the internet, buying stuff on the internet with a debit card, credit card, and it's not a secure website. Skimmers, who knows what a skimmer is? Ryan. Yep. ATM machines, you can see them at gas stations. You can see them, well, those are pretty much the two places you'll see them, ATM machines and gas stations. Anywhere you can slide your debit card where it's not really maintained by someone. So that it's basically, I've got pictures of it, but it's basically an extension. So if it looks like it shouldn't belong there, it probably doesn't. And then solicitors and phishing, basically emails. Someone's sending you a phishing email. Click here to access X, Y, and Z. Click here to accept this credit card. Click here, we need your personal information, verify your password and your email address. Those are your phishing and soliciting emails. So, cover the first one, stolen items, purse, wallet. First thing you want to do is if your purse or wallet's been stolen, immediately contact your banks, your institutions, your financial institutions. Hey, my purse and wallet was stolen. Some people want to leave it open for a little while. Oh, I can track it. I can see what they're doing. I can give this information to the police. That's great, but we can also do it even if you cancel it, because if you cancel the card, anytime they're going to try to run a transaction, it's going to come back either stolen or denied. and we can get a hold of that financial institution and still find out the dates and times that they tried to use the card and where they tried to use the card at. Some people have this myth that, oh, if I leave it open just for a little while and they use it, then the police will be able to track them down better. We can do it either way. And the only way we're going to be able to track them down is, say they go to Walmart or Target and spend a lot of money or try to spend a lot of money, we can go in and grab their, the video surveillance, and we can try to track them down that way. A lot of times it's hard. If it's an internet transaction, you can trace back IP addresses through different Yahoo account, Gmail, stuff like that. We can get subpoenas and get IP addresses and trace it back that way. It all depends on how much your department can do and what the department will do. File a police report immediately. My debit card was stolen out of my car and my purse. I canceled all my stuff, but I wanted to file a police report. That's the first step, because the financial institution is going to want a case number, because if there is anything that is charged on it, they're going to want a case number so that they can reimburse you the money that you're out. And then what happens after that is you don't become the victim of that money that's out, the bank is. So now the bank becomes the victim, okay? Because they're going to reimburse you your money, and so now the bank's going to be out the money. And so now the bank's going to be the victim. So not only are you the victim of the theft or the identity theft, they're going to become the victim of the fraud and the loss of the money. Keep track of your debit and credit cards where they are used before you can get the card shut off. Get dates and times, places, amounts, etc. If you go on and you don't realize your card was stolen for some reason, okay, write down dates and times or print out your banking history or credit card history online and highlight, hey, I didn't make this purchase, and it's at Costco on Tuesday at 10 p.m. or 10 a.m. I didn't make this purchase. That'll help us go back, try to find surveillance video of whatever we can. Place a credit watch. Call all 3 credit bureaus immediately and place a credit watch, a freeze, whatever they want to call it on your identity. That'll keep that person from opening up additional accounts, from opening up loans, and anything that is suspicious on your credit report. It'll get flagged, and then they will 99.9% of the time contact you immediately. They'll be like, hey, we got this loan application in. We obviously haven't, we just want to let you know, or they'll send you an email, however you prefer to be contacted, whether it's by telephone or email. Unauthorized use of your Social Security number. There are several ways people can get it. Your Social Security number is floating around everywhere, even though you don't know it. It's probably on 100 different pieces of paper in TMCC. Between your payroll, between HR, between everywhere else, on a computer, it's probably in 100 places right now and you don't even know it. So there's tons of ways they can get it. But never give out your personal information. Don't give out your Social Security number. I know it's kind of dumb for me to say that, but you don't know how many people give out their Social Security numbers. Phone scams. People will call you up. Make sure if they're going to call you up and they're saying they're a legitimate company, that they are a legitimate company. They'll be like, well, I need you to verify your identification by giving me your Social Security number. Most places aren't going to ask you for your full Social Security number. They might ask you for your last 4, but they're not going to ask you for your entire Social Security number. So keep that in mind. Shred any important documents with your information, obviously, that you don't need. You don't want to shred up your Social Security card or shred up your birth certificate or shred up any of that. But make sure that kind of stuff is locked away in a safe or in a very secure location. But any kind of bills that you don't need, I don't know how long some people keep their bills. I keep mine for a year. After a year, I usually get rid of them if I don't need them anymore. But I shred them. Bank statements. Get rid of all your bank statements. Your account numbers are on your bank statements. Does anybody put their Social Security number on their checks? Because that used to be a huge thing. People used to put their Social Security numbers on their checks. Or their driver's license number. Anybody put that on their checks? Don't. Okay, because that's another way you can get your taken. Sir?
A lot of times those stores, when they require the driver's license.
They will put it on if you're writing a check at say the grocery store. Yeah, they're going to put it on. Okay, but you know that's in their system. I'm saying, like, if you have a checkbook and your driver's license is automatically printed on that and your checkbook gets stolen, not only do they have your banking account information, they now have your driver's license information. So they've got your name, they've got your address, they've got your banking institution, and now they have your driver's license number. They can very easily open up any kind of account they want with all that information, whether it's a credit card, a loan, anything like that, with that information.
So are you saying that a lot of times they'll just ask for the last 4 digits of your social security number.
If you're,
And I guess the question is that safe or not? And actually, I hate to say it, but working for some of these government agencies, they'll require the social security number before you can even move forward.
right. And like I said, if it's a reputable company, like you call up, you know you're a customer at Wells Fargo, and you personally call them up, okay, and they want you to verify your information. You personally knew you called Wells Fargo, and you know it's a known source, okay, and you know that you're talking to someone from Wells Fargo. I'm talking about someone that calls you, a solicitor, and says, hey, I'm from US Bank, and you've been approved for a $2,000 credit card. We just need you to verify your information. You're not a member of US Bank. Why are they calling you out of the blue? You know, those kind of things. Don't give out your personal information to verify your identity there, because it's a solicitor and it's a scam. That's more or less what I'm talking about. When you know it's a known source, when you're contacting the person, you need to give out what you need to give out. If you have any questions, a good thing you can do, someone calls you up and say, I need you to identify who you are. Hey, give me your phone number and I'll call you back. See if they give you their phone number and you call them back. They may hang up. They give you a phone number, you hang up on them, you call them back, and it goes to nothing. Okay? So if you don't know who it is and it's not a known source, can I get your phone number and can I get your name and I'll call you back? It's a really good way to prevent that.
To further what Ralph was saying, I work in Postal Service contract station, and we are now required to put driver's license numbers on the checks that come into us. It's not the other way around. People ask us all the time, well, what are you going to do with it? Oh, nothing. He goes to the Postal Service because we have to string back checks. They require it. So.
Yeah, and you know, a lot of those, you go to the grocery store, you go to the post office, you write a check, they put your driver's license number on it. Most banking institutions, they'll either scan it in or they'll send you back the check. And after they scan it in, most of those places either keep it in their vaults or they shred it. Because once it's in their system and it's scanned, they usually get rid of it. So I wouldn't worry too much about that kind of thing. It's more about having it printed on and then your check gets stolen, you know, and then they've got all your information. Does that answer your question? So hacking, internet use, buying and selling stuff on the internet. I've been a victim of identity theft strictly from the buying and selling of stuff on the internet. You've got to watch where you're doing it. You want to make sure that your transactions are secured. The IT people can probably tell you a little bit better, but there's what's called an HTTP and an HTTPS, okay? The S means secured. It means it's a secured website. And anytime you do any kind of transactions online, most of the time at the bottom it'll say if it's a secured site or a secured transaction site, or it's got a little lock symbol like that, which means it's usually encrypted and it's usually going to be a pretty secure site. One way you can do to avoid having your information, your banking information stolen, if you do a lot of online purchasing, is get a second debit card. So what you do is you get a second checking account and you leave the balance at 0, okay? And then anytime you're going to make a purchase, you transfer money from your main checking account to the second card, just for the amount of the purchase, okay? So then what happens is you make that purchase, that account will go back down to 0. If for some reason they take that information, the account's already at 0 and you're not out any money. They may try to do something and it may send you into overdraw, but you're not immediately in any kind of money situation. You know, they're not going to drain your bank account that way. So if you're going to do a lot of online purchasing, I encourage you to get a second debit card, get a second checking account, keep it at 0 or as close to 0 as possible. If they require $25, just keep it as low as possible and just transfer money back and forth for your online purchases. Secure transactions, we talked about that. Trusted sites, make sure you're using a trusted site. There's a lot of sites out there that are kind of ghost sites. They look like the site that you're trying to go to, but they're not. So make sure before you're making a purchase that you look at the top of the screen, make sure that the web address you typed in is correct, make sure it says HTTPS, and those kind of things. Phishing, suspicious emails. Again, don't be opening up suspicious emails, especially if they're financial related. Delete them. Don't open them. Not only are they trying to put a virus on your computer, They're probably trying to some way do some sort of Trojan to try to get into your computer to get your information, or they're going to try to get you to input your information so that they can take it. So just be very careful about suspicious emails. Have a good spam filter on your email. Pop-ups, same thing, viruses and Trojans. Other internet usage. Passwords, change them frequently. Not only is this the internet, but your banking institutions, your PIN numbers, anything that requires a password or PIN number, you want to try to change it 3 months, 6 months maybe. But the more you can change it, the easier. And it's really easy to change your password. Some people are like, oh man, I got to change my password again. You could use, say your password is 1234. Well, next month it could be 1234 exclamation. The month after that it can be 1234 question mark. Or it can be question mark 1234 or exclamation 1234. And you can keep the same password, just add an additional character. And what I do is I keep usually the same password, but about every month, the special characters at the top of the number keys, I use a different character every month. And I'm not going to use seventh month, the seventh character for the 7th month because that's kind of obvious, but I'll just kind of go in order. If I'm going to change my password every 3 months, then I'll go from this one to this one, and just try to find a pattern so oh, I'm here, so it's going to be this one this time. So just tips to keep your password changed so you don't have to remember a different password every time. So you're not changing passwords constantly and have, oh, what was my password? It's just 1 or 2 numbers or digits off. Don't give out any of your usernames or passwords. Get a good virus scanner and scan often for viruses and Trojan horses because they're going to be what gets into your computer. That's how all these big corporations get hacked, is they have malware, they have Trojans, and that they get into their system and they get hacked. And that's how they get all your personal information. Security breaches. This is the stuff that's out of your control. This is the stuff that happens at the Home Depot. This is the stuff that happens at Jimmy John's. This is the stuff that happens at the VA. It's the stuff that happened at UC Berkeley. It's all stuff that happens that's out of your control, but it's still stuff you need to be aware of. And if, like when the Home Depot incident happened, a lot of financial institutions put up on their websites, hey, if you have any questions, get a hold of us and we can help you. If you shopped at Home Depot during these certain times, let us know, we can help you. A lot of the financial institutions are already taking the step to help you, but you got to help yourself too. So medical facilities, businesses, corporations, colleges, examples of Veterans Administration incident, 26.5 million discharged veterans records, including name, social security number, date of birth, stolen from the home of an employee who improperly took the material home on their computer. You can't control that. Unsecured laptop computers and workstations stolen from the main campus of UCSC. Could that happen here? Probably pretty easily. UC Berkeley laptop stolen from unlocked office, more than 98,000 records containing social security numbers. Idaho Power Company, okay? Could be NV Energy. 4 hard drives sold on eBay in 2006 contained hundreds of thousands of confidential documents, employee names and social security numbers, and confidential memos to the CEO. The recent one, Home Depot security breach, malware, April to September of 2014. They had malware installed on their main server. Someone hacked in, installed a malware program, and stole everybody's information. Same thing with Jimmy John's. 2 locations in northern Nevada, one in Carson and the Jimmy John's down on 9th, right by UNR. We're affected here. Skimmer. All right, so as you can see, the left one is what the ATM should look like. When someone attaches a skimmer, it attaches on the right. So as you can tell, it looks very similar. They just put something over the top that makes it look like it's supposed to. Okay. Now a lot of the gas stations nowadays have a tamper-proof sticker on it, so you can tell. And a lot of the ATMs now, you actually slide it all the way in and it's at an angle. And they're mostly pretty flat. You actually have to slide it in. So if you see something protruding out, it's kind of a clue. You just kind of got to be aware where you're using your debit card and just kind of look at it real quick first. Does it look like it's all one piece, or does it look like something's been attached? Card skimming is illegal copying of information from the magnetic strips found on the debit credit cards. It's considered a more direct version of phishing. Store clerks who skim cards may do so by having customers swipe their cards more than once. Keep that in mind. If you have to swipe your card more than once at a grocery store or gas station, you know, sometimes, yeah, your card doesn't read, but most of the time it'll say, you know, slide again, didn't read, something like that. If they haven't you slide a couple times, keep that in mind. Or they want to take your card to another location in the store. Oh, it's not working. I need to go process it over here. I really don't like my debit card and credit cards out of my visual. I know you can't help it. Sometimes you go out to eat to a restaurant, you put a credit card in there, they take it all the way back to the back. It's the risk you take. Now, if you want to go out and you want to pay for cash and eliminate that risk, by all means, okay? You can take those. You can take the chance. You can protect yourself by paying cash, but cash sometimes is an inconvenience for a lot of people too. So just kind of be mindful. The end result of the card skimming is unauthorized access to finances through the techniques of illegal copying of debit and credit cards. A lot of the time in law enforcement, we see credit cards stolen, and people will have a stack of other people's credit cards. And then what they do is they sell them. They sell them to people that can copy them. So that's another form. Soliciting, phishing, phone, email, door-to-door. Door-to-door salesmen, magazine salesmen. Come to your door. Want you to buy magazines. You have to give them a check or your credit card on a piece of paper. Next time they do, find out their company name, see if they've got a business license, and do a little research and see how many complaints they've had of them stealing other people's identities. You'd be surprised. A lot of those magazine salesmen are frauds. A lot of them. Vacuums are the same way. Vacuum salesmen. There's a couple legitimate ones. Yes, there's the Kirby. Yes, there's, you know, the decent ones that are some legitimate ones. But a lot of those people, not only are they trying to get your information, but a lot of the time, those people that run those companies don't do background checks on who they're hiring. All right, they're hiring Joe Blow off the street for $5 an hour that are just going door to door to sell something. Not only are they trying to take your information, but they're scoping out your house. Hate to say it. You invite them in to do a demonstration, now they know where everything is in your house. Keep that in mind. Don't hesitate to call the police department to come have them check out, because they have to carry a business license on them. They have to carry identification on them. A lot of the times they'll have a decent name badge. So don't hesitate to call the police department to get them checked out. Hey, these guys are kind of shady. I think they're acting kind of weird. They're going door to door. Can you come out, check them out, make sure they've got a business license and they're legitimate. Phones, calling, telling you something may be wrong with your account, your PIN number. They want you to give them your date of birth, PIN numbers. I've never been asked for my personal PIN number on a phone when I'm calling a legitimate place. They don't ask for your PIN number. They ask for your last four, or they ask for to verify your address, or they ask you to verify other information. Almost never do they ever ask you for your PIN numbers. So keep that in mind. Emails, links to external websites, fake websites made to look like actual websites, phishing. And then door-to-door, I just talked about that. A lot of the time, those magazine salesmen, you'll never get your product. Keep that in mind too. So here's an example of a phishing site that is actually Bank of America. If you look at the top, it says www.9. Bank of America. Okay. It also doesn't say HTTPS. When you go to just about every financial website, it's going to say HTTPS because they're all secured websites. It's just something to keep in mind. Look what they're asking for. Your ATM or credit card number, expiration, and your ATM or credit card PIN. How many financial institutions ask for that on their websites? Very few. Facebook. What's the address at the top say? Face look. Getting your email address and your passwords. You can type in Facebook a couple different ways and you'll get sent. There's one that you'll get sent and it's a survey. And it'll look like Facebook and it'll say, you're the whatever person, you need to fill out the survey and we'll send you a free prize. PayPal. Again, it doesn't say HTTPS. It says suspicious website because obviously there's a lot of places that are already flagged. And it doesn't say PayPal at top. It says R, whatever that says. Albums. Albums, home, albums. I don't think PayPal has albums. Just, keywords to look at. HTTPS, albums, definitely probably not PayPal. But it looks just like a PayPal website. Some more stats. The percent of reported identity thefts by type of fraud. So credit card, number one, 64%. Obviously, they're going to get your credit card. You're going to get your information off the credit card. Misuse of other existing bank information and the misuse of personal information. That's your social security number, your date of birth, your driver's license numbers, stuff like that. Top 5 reported crimes. If you can see over here on the bottom right, identity theft, 28,915. That's one of the top 5 of reported crimes as far as financial crimes go. And then major fraud types reported in 2011, loan intimidation scams, work from home scams, FBI impersonation scams. Those are all identity theft related. Yeah. Romance scams are dating websites because you put a lot of your personal information in those dating websites. You also, a lot of the time, have to give a credit card information. Prevention. So what can we do to protect ourselves? Change passwords and PINs frequently. Don't use your date of birth, your social security number as your PIN. Don't use your birthday. Don't use the last 4 of your social security because everybody knows it. It's out there all over the place. Anybody can find your date of birth. Anybody can find the last 4 of your social security number. Use something that's unique and unidentifiable. Okay? And make sure most places nowadays want you to use an uppercase letter, a lowercase letter, a number, and a special character. The more unique it is, the harder it is. Don't give out your personal information, date of birth, social security, unless you're absolutely positive that the person you're telling is credible. I mean, if it's your bank institution and you called them, okay? If it's, an alarm company and you called them or they called you because there was an alarm, and you have to give some sort of identifying information. Unless you're absolutely positively sure that they are credible, don't give out your information. Don't carry your social security card in your wallet. Anybody do that? How about carry your kids' social security number in their wallets? That's a big one. Is people will get a hold of your kids' social security information because they've got a clear, free credit report, clear, free credit history. Parents are actually pretty bad about doing this too. They'll open up credit cards under their kids' names. That's still a part of identity theft. So keep that in mind. Or have your social security printed on your checks or your ID. So I know Nevada several years ago, your driver's license number was your social security number. Majority of states have now gotten rid of that. There are still a few that still do. I know Montana, for a fact, still does have a couple that are floating around because if you've had your driver's license for 20 plus years and you don't want to change your number, they'll let you keep it and the original numbers were all your social security numbers. So there's still a couple states that have social security numbers as driver's license numbers. Just keep that in mind. Don't give out usernames or passwords or PIN numbers. Check credit reports at least annually, preferably every 4 to 6 months. You can get your free credit report every year. You can get one free credit report every year from each agency. So what you can do is you can get one from Equifax, 4 months. 4 months later, get another one from Experian, and 4 months later, get another one from TransUnion. Okay? Anytime you apply for credit and you're denied credit, you're authorized for a free credit report through whatever company was denied. So if they ran it through Equifax and they denied you because of whatever Equifax reported to them, you are allowed a free credit report through Equifax. So every time you apply for credit and you're denied, get your free credit report. Find out why you were denied, find out what's on your credit report.
I don't know if you're going to talk about this or not, but a lot of people do the whole debit versus credit thing at the ATM and at the stores and whatnot. Like, which is the most secure way? I figured like putting in your PIN number at the grocery store is something like that.
Well, it goes either way because a lot of places now don't check IDs. And for me personally, every time someone asks to check my ID when I give them their credit card, I say thank you. Okay? But a lot of places don't check. So you can swipe your credit card and all you have to do is sign your name. Who knows if it's your signature? If someone has your card, do they check? I don't know how many places I go to and they don't check my ID to make sure my credit card matches my ID.
Furthermore, my boss just told me on Monday when I was at work and I actually asked for someone's ID that it's actually illegal to do that.
You're verifying. You don't know if that check's stolen. You can ask for it. Now, it may not be in your policy. You may have a policy that says you're not allowed to. But you can ask for it to verify that it's not stolen. I mean, were you taking a check?
No, it was a credit card.
If you're taking a credit card, ask for the ID. Make sure it's verified. I would. I'm not going to take offense if someone asks for my ID when I give them a credit card. I prefer people to look at my ID. Some people even write their signatures on that signature and then put next to it, ask for ID or CID. You know, you can do that. Not everybody will still look at it, but just a little tip. Check bank accounts regularly. Report any suspicious transactions immediately. I check mine daily. I use mine a lot, but I also check it daily. I want to make sure that, you know, if I go over to the Maverick gas station, I use my debit card to get a soda pop, they didn't charge me, you know, 3-4 minutes after I left for a whole bunch of other stuff, because my transactions show up immediately. So constantly check your bank accounts. Make sure there's nothing on there that's suspicious. And if there is, report it to your bank immediately. Hey, I don't remember making this $50 purchase. And a lot of the times if you look at your bank statements, it'll say who it is. It may even give a 1-800 phone number for the place that you did the transaction at, and it'll give some sort of approval code usually. So keep that in mind. Open separate bank accounts for the internet and online purchases. I talked about that. Shred personal information rather than just throwing it away. If you don't own a shredder, cut it up. Tear it up into tiny little pieces. Take your extra couple minutes, tear everything up as much as possible. And if it's got any kind of account numbers or anything, make sure you're cutting those up. All right. I mean, if only this much of the piece of paper has your information on it, cut that out, tear that up into tiny little shreds, and then throw the rest away. It's just your information. That's what we're concerned about. Keep your personal wallet secured at all times. If they get stolen, report it right away and close all accounts. Do not leave in the seat of your car or in plain view. Okay, especially on campus. Don't leave it in your driver's seat. Don't leave it in your passenger seat. Don't leave it in your back seat. If you're going to leave it in your car, lock it in the trunk so no one can see it. Okay? Even if your car's locked but it's in your front seat, your back seat, your windows can be broken easily. Last year we had 7 or 8 windows broken on campus. Nothing was taken, fortunately, but it can happen. So if you're going to leave it in your car, which a lot of women don't like to bring their purses in, understandable. Sometimes they're really big and bulky. Okay? Lock them in your trunks at least. Check website addresses you go to. Make sure it's the actual site you're trying to go to and not a lookalike. Don't click access links or emails unless you're sure they're verified and you know who they're from. And be very cautious of door-to-door salespeople that come door-to-door. Be careful of what you purchase from them and don't give out any personal information. ID theft insurance, LifeLock. Anybody heard of them? Good company. You can also get it on your homeowner's insurance or your renter's insurance. If you own a home, you can ask them to put ID theft insurance on it, and it's like $2 extra a month on your homeowner's insurance. And it'll usually cover you between $25,000 and $50,000. And what that does is it pays for anything that you have to fight. Okay, so if you have to get an attorney, you have to contact all the credit agencies, you have to do X, Y, and Z, it'll cover those expenses. Just ask for it. A lot of the insurance companies have, you can attach it to your homeowner's or renter's insurance. LifeLock, there's other ones that are out there, but LifeLock's the biggest. It's pretty good. Shred bank and credit card offers. If you get a credit card offer in the mail, don't just throw it away. The garbage man can come by, open up your bag, take out that credit card offer, put his address on there, and then have your new credit card sent to his address that he can use. Another thing when you're checking your credit reports, look at the addresses that are on your credit reports. Your aliases that you've ever used, your addresses that you've ever used, and anything else that may have been associated to you should be on your credit report. If you see an address on your credit report that you don't recognize, you've never lived in Massachusetts and it has a Massachusetts address on there, it's a clue that someone's probably tried to use your identity a time or two. Or you've lived in Nevada your whole life and there's an address on there from California. Or there's an address on there from somewhere, even if you live in Reno and there's an address in Reno that you don't recognize, get it looked into. We can do it a little bit further. Put a freeze on your account. Put a hold on your account. Put a fraud alert on your account. Never leave mail for pickup in an unsecured location. When you go, how many people have just pull open mailboxes at their front door? Don't put any checks. Don't put anything in those. You leave for work, after you put something in there, next person come by, open up that box, take whatever in there, close it back up, and now they've got all that information. If you're going to mail something, go to the big blue box, put it in the big blue box. Or if you got a bank of mailboxes at your on your street or whatever, because a lot of people are going to that where you have a big bank of mailboxes. They usually have the slit in the door and you just shove it in. That's pretty secured. Only the mailman can get into that. But if you have one that you can just pull open, put something in, put it up, and put the flag up, don't do that. Your stuff can get stolen easily. Keep an eye on credit cards once they're out of your hand to avoid skimming. Like I said, it's really hard to do at restaurants. They're going to take it back to their little area and run it through there. But I mean, you're at a drive-through window. Most of the time, it's right there next to the cash register and you can see it. You're at fast food, you can see them running it. You're at a grocery store, you can see them running it. You're at a gas station, you can see them running it. Anytime they have to go somewhere where you can't see, question it. Use firewalls, antivirus software, malware software for any device connected to the internet. If you're using a wireless TV thing, say you got Netflix or say you got something, make sure that you've got some sort of protection on your router, whether it's some sort of firewall or something, because they can easily tap into your PS3 that you've got a whole bunch of information stored on. Kids store their mom and dad's credit card information on their PS3 so that they can buy extra add-ons. When doing online transactions, check the web bar HTTP versus HTTPS. Biggest concern about the internet. So, as you can see, viruses, software, malware, government surveillance, not sure, behavior targeted internet advertising, and identity theft. Identity theft is actually, it didn't come out very well, but it's the 38.7 over there. And then the consumer identity theft data clearinghouse over here on the right shows you where most identity theft, what the victim has, and they usually credit card fraud. Fraudulent loans, we've had that here at TMCC. Last year we had a guy, never been a student at TMCC, started getting collections because he had to pay on a loan that he got from financial aid from TMCC. It was never him. Someone gathered his information and got a student loan under his name, and now he has to pay for it. It happens. And the way financial aid works here is you don't even have to show up in person to fill out a financial aid form. You do it right online. So if someone has your information, they can just plug it in online, put in their address or their banking route institution, and what the guy did that had it stolen is the money was actually dispersed, because we went all the way through the cashier, comptroller, everywhere, whoever disperses money, and it got put on a non-traceable, one of those little reloading Visa cards. So there was no way for us to track who actually opened it up. He had it loaded onto a Visa, one of those reloadable Visa cards, Visa debit cards, a couple $1,000. So. The cost of what identity theft is, where it's broken down. Stolen devices, denial of services. Denial of services would be like if you get denied a loan or denied a credit card, how much it affects you. Phishing, social engineering, web-based attacks, viruses, where each part of the pie comes together and what it all costs. So have you become a victim? How can you tell if you become a victim? Your bank account has withdrawals that you don't recognize. Mysterious charges appear on your bills and statements, especially credit card bills or cell phone bills. Cell phone, big one. Purchase apps through your cell phone, right? You've got information stored on your cell phone. You've got credit card information stored on your cell phone. Your cell phone gets stolen, they've got access to all that information. You got an iPhone, you got the Apple Store, all that information stored in there. Get disruptive phone calls from debt collectors trying to collect on bills that you have no idea what they are, or notices in the mail. Final notice bills in the mail for products or services you've never bought. Credit report lists an address you've never lived at. Your credit report lists credit accounts such as credit cards or loans that you've never applied for. And some of these are the many ways that identity theft reveals itself. There's tons of others out there, but these are the big ones that you'll see. These are the majority ones. When someone steals your identity, they're doing these. You know, other people have other ways to steal identity. There's people that want to, like I said at the beginning, want to be a fake doctor and charge for services that they can't render, so they steal other people's business licenses. That's all identity theft too, but we're talking personal level, what you're going to see, what's going to affect you most of the time. What do you do if you become a victim? Contact your credit agencies immediately. Notify bank and account holders. Contact the FTC. Now, what the FTC will do is they will issue you a PIN number, okay, a personalized PIN number. And they're going to have you do an identity theft report, and you can do it right online most of the time through the FTC. Okay, and what they'll do is then anytime you open up an account or anything comes up, you'll have to give that PIN number to open up an account. Also in Nevada, if you file for an identity, you've been a victim of identity theft, you get what's called an identity theft card. All right, and what that says is basically, say the person that stole your identity did something illegal, and now the police are looking for you, even though you didn't do it. Well, you can show the police, hey, I've been a victim of identity theft. Here's my card. It's registered. This wasn't me. Okay. Do an identity theft report with your police departments. Identity theft will help you deal with credit reporting companies, debt collectors, and businesses that give identity theft credit or open new accounts in your name. You can use the report to get fraudulent information removed from your credit report, stop a credit card collection company from calling you, place an extended fraud alert on your credit report, and get information from companies about the accounts of the identity thief opened or misused. Because a lot of the times, if you've been a victim of identity theft and they opened up a card, sometimes you can't get that information because they opened it, may have been with your information, but with some other stuff that may not pertain to you. So to get some of the information, they won't give it to you because they can't verify your identity even though it's you. So the identity theft report is the one you do through the FTC, and it's usually right on their website. But you will need a police report. They'll ask for the police report, the agency you reported it to, so that people don't make fraudulent reports. So, conclusion, summary. We've learned what identity theft is. It's the taking of your information, your personal identifying information, and basically someone has some sort of financial gain out of it. There is a difference between fraud and identity theft. Identity theft is they're taking your information and trying to become you by some sort of financial gain or doing something in a gain. A fraud is they're taking your card and just racking up money on it. Okay, there's a little bit of a difference there. So if they steal your credit card and then use your credit card and just max it out, that's fraud. They're not trying to pretend they're you. They just have your stuff. Okay, when they are pretending that they are you, they are taking your information and applying for new credit cards, applying for new loans, and applying for more financial gain. They are trying to become you to get financial gain or to get some sort of gain. We've identified how you can become a victim. We've identified how to protect yourself. We've identified to check your information regularly, file reports, and anyone can be a victim. How many people in here have been a victim of identity theft? I have. Fraud. Identity theft, fraud, a lot of the same.
Almost, but I tell you, something to watch out for. A couple of years ago, I get this email saying, "Hey, how about want a good part-time job? What would you like? How would you like to be a secret shopper?" So they send you this email saying, all you got to do, you go to this particular store and you basically do the shopping, like a secret shopper. You've seen that sometimes on TV. And it sounds pretty good, you know. And then what they do, this is for doing that. Whatever you purchase, you know, and then a check. We will send you a check for like $1,000. Okay, and you basically all you do is that you will keep 300 of it. And deposit the check into your checking
And the funds aren't there, so
okay.
it sends you no.
So they say do it, but I said I'm a little suspicious about that because I tried to call them, they know there's no ever phone number. So I said, well, I'm going to take this check down to the post office. So I took it down to the post office, and the post office check says this is, and actually there was a money order. It wasn't a check, it was a money order, so it looked like a legitimate check. So I took it to the post office. Was this legit? The post office went through the scanner and said, no, this is an illegitimate money order. So I said, interesting. I'm glad you caught it and told me this, because what they wanted me to do is take a deposit the money order in my checking account, then they're going to withdraw the funds. So what I did is I reported it to the Postal Service, the federal, whatever the thief, you know, and that was 3 years ago. Never heard a word.
Those usually get federally investigated, and it's usually an ongoing scam. It's not just one person that did one thing. It's usually a group of people or something like that, and they're trying to just put bits and pieces of the little part together, and yours is a little microscopic piece of the big entire puzzle. And it's going to be the big entire puzzle. Once they get the big entire puzzle figured out, then they'll go and, you know, bust that person, bust that company, bust that group of people, you know, using, you know, what you've turned in. You probably will never hear it because that gets investigated on the federal side, you know, under that circumstance.
So with that in case where really, I guess they're trying to defraud you by an illegal money order, get you to deposit into your bank. So in essence, let's say they take out $700 or $1,000. Is that considered fraud or is that considered ID theft?
Well, it's technically considered fraud. Yep, because they're not stealing your identity. They're not trying to become you. They're just trying to gain financially off of you by fraudulent circumstances. So it's fraud. Identity theft is when they are taking your personal information and trying to become you to gain financial gains. So, answer your question? If you want to write down, these are some websites where you can get your credit report: freecreditreport.com, annualcreditreport.com, creditkarma.com, myfico.com, credit.com, gofreecredit.com, and then obviously the 3 credit bureaus as well. Like I said, the 3 credit bureaus will give you your annual credit report every year for free. Stagger them every 4 months so you can check it every 4 months. Okay. Any questions? None?
So if you go to a website and they have this picture of a lock on the website, just someone posted on their website, but it's not up there, there's no HTTPS, even though it says security.
Not necessarily. Most of the time it'll say HTTPS if it's secured. Or there's some other codes at the bottom. It'll say secured website, secured by, and have a company name. you know, and a whole bunch of other things. But most of the time, if it's a secured website, it'll say HTTPS. Any other questions? All right. Well, that's my presentation. Hopefully everybody learned a little bit from it. Informative. Okay. Thank you.